Here's the problem. Remember the last funeral you attended? Well, according to the Federal Trade Commission, the cost of that funeral was at least $6,000, just for a simple casket, a cemetery vault, and the mortuary service, which is more than double what it was only 10 years ago. But that funeral might have cost as much as $10,000, $15,000, or even $20,000 if you add in the expense of a cemetery plot with a headstone, the expense of the hearse with a limousine for the family, and the expense of a memorial service with a reception afterward. What's more, in addition to the cost of a funeral, there are other end-of-life expenses, including medical bills, legal fees, and income taxes, that can amount to as much or even more than the funeral expenses. And when each of us reach the end of our lives, most of these expenses must be paid within a few days of our demise. But if sufficient funds are not readily available, many families are forced to max out their credit cards, take out home equity loans, or borrow money from friends or relatives. Then they must pay off these debts later and with interest. That's why no one wants to leave their spouse or their children without the money to pay for all these expenses. So what's the easiest, most economical, and cost-efficient way to be sure they have the money? Final expense insurance. Final expense insurance can pay for all of our end-of-life financial obligations with tax-free dollars and at a discount of at least 40 to 60%. And you can get at least $10,000 to $20,000 of final expense insurance without any medical exam, because approval is typically guaranteed regardless of any health issues or medical conditions. In fact, it's usually a one-page application with only a few yes or no health questions, and the monthly rates are easily affordable and contractually guaranteed for as long as you live. The check is delivered directly to your spouse or an adult child, usually within 48 hours, and whatever they don't spend, they can keep. So, ask yourself this: does it make good sense to leave your spouse or your children with the financial obligation and responsibility for all of your end-of-life expenses, but without the money to pay for them? Or does it make better sense to pay for your own funeral, medical bills, and legal fees with final expense insurance at a 40 to 60% discount and with tax-free dollars?